We're back here and getting ready for the Shifter ROK final, and Daniele, this is always one of my favourite races of the day, because visually
are we already here
and audibly,
are we already at the Shifter ROK?
We are already at the Shifter ROK.
So we are almost over.
We are almost over.
That's a bad news.
It's okay, because we've, as I say, this class, for anyone who's not watched this before, you know, the start is always my favourite bit.
Yeah,
definitely. It's just so charged up, and we'll see it in a moment. Before we do see the start, though, let's check the order in which they will be starting. And on pole position for Leclerc by Lennox Racing is David Levinsky, who's taken 3 race victories so far this weekend across the 3 heats. Just see the 402 there of Mihai Munchin from Romania. The Tony Kart driver will be starting for Real Racing in 2nd place. Mattia Sergio Limena on the far side there in the 417 will be starting on the 2nd row of the grid. Japan's Ayoto Iwasaki will be starting in 4th. Row 3 will have Christoph Holdner in the 403 for CKR, racing alongside Alexander Yanchu. On that row, Mauro D'Agostino and Jakub Wojcik on row 4. Alessio Foresto and Roy Nissani, a name that a few people may know because he is, of course, a current Formula 2 driver and Williams Formula 1 test driver. He starts on the 5th row of the grid for LA Motorsports. Keegan Masters, who arguably deserves to be a bit higher up the grid, but had technical issues yesterday in his 3rd heat. Starts on the 6th row of the grid, which is a not too bad place to start this race. He'll be joined by Gabriel Bizzozero. Row 7 has Mattia Rossetti and Mario Pervalescu on it. Davide Codera and Davide Greco starts on the 8th row of the grid. That is a very strong grid there. Row of the grid. Ivan Klimenko and Alexandria Roca Pereira are on row 9. Tegan Puls and Josh Conker in an all-Canadian 10th row of the grid. Maxim Turyev and Kostin Ion Trudeau are on the 11th row of the grid. Cliff Kujala and Darius Katiga on the 12th row of the grid. Lorenzo Ripamonti is due on the 13th row of the grid. We'll get confirmation if he does start the race, because he did have an incident earlier in the week.
Yeah, a bad one, so if he's not here, we of course we try to send his best wishes to them. And David Levinsky, starting from the pole, is also the runner-up from last year. I guess, if I remember right, behind Alessandro Buran, that was the champion last year. So, of course, David Levinsky is eager to take this win. Not that Mihai Munchin is not, of course. So, as Andrew said, we are going to see a very, very entertaining start, like always starting from the standing grid. So, end of this sighting lap, and we are going good to go. Allora, fine del giro di ricognizione, poi David Levinsky, vice campione in carica l'anno scorso, terminò la Superfinal alle spalle di Alessandro Buran. Munchan in prima fila insieme a lui dalla seconda casella, poi Limena, Iwasaki, Hold, Janku, D'Agostino, Wojcik, Foresto, Roy Nissany, pilota F2. Ed ecco la bandiera rossa pronta ad accogliere tutti i piloti sulla griglia di partenza, e questi sono momenti di tensione vera, real moments where the tension goes so high.
Ripamonti does race. Standing start for the Shifter ROKs. This is the only standing starts we'll see of the day. David Levinsky 12 months ago finished this race runner-up. Can he go one better? He's had a perfect run so far, and I think, are we going to go round for another one? Yeah, who's missing there from grid 6? Janku not at the start there, so we're going to go around again. And this is a bit of a repeat of 12 months ago, because I remember in particular this Shifter ROK final took a couple of attempts to get running.
Yeah, you remember right, so it seems like pretty a tradition from the Superfinal. I don't think so, but anyway, giro di formazione, anzi giro di ricognizione extra, e il buco sulla terza griglia di Alexandru Janku, scusate. E allora, tensione che sale, that's not good for the tension, that's not good for the focusing, because you have to be very, very good to stay on that.
Alessandro Buhan, David Lewinsky, Kasper Nadolski, Mattia Vita and Andrea Zemak. That was your top 5 12 months ago at Franciacorta. 4 of that top 5 not present here this year. But still a very competitive field taking the fight to David Lewinsky. It is on paper, I think, a little bit tighter than what we just saw in Super. Especially with Mihai Munchen, he's been on good form this week. We're under starters orders now. Yanku is now in the correct position of grid 6. Flag Marshal stepping off circuit. Heartbeats start to rise. We're ready for the Shifter ROK final. The lights are coming on. They'll be out in a moment, and away we go. Good start for Munchen. Was it too good a start as they go down into turn 1? But he's got away and got ahead of Lewinsky here into turn 2 and 3. That's the first time we've said that this week. The field going through turn 4 and down into the hairpin now. Back down the inside. Lewinsky trying to retake the lead side by side off of turn 5. Brilliant start though for the Romanian. Mihai Munchen leads.
And Lewinsky now, he has to try to stay calm inside the helmet, try to not make some move that it's gonna bring a mistake with it. Deve provare a non correre con la frenesia, deve provare a stare sul pezzo Lewinsky, perché la partenza di Munchen è stata grandiosa, bravissimo. Uno scatto al fulmicotone per Munchen, che si è messo subito al comando delle operazioni con una grandissima manovra. Gran partenza anche di Limena, che si è issato in terza posizione seguendo subito da vicino Lewinsky, che ora attacca. Lewinsky
takes the lead, or does he? No, he's slow off of turn number 4 and going around the outside now is Lemena. Oh, they're side by side, pod to pod, and this is getting really, really ferocious. Can you tell this is a final? Munchen leads ahead of Lewinsky. Lemena there in 3rd place. They're battling for 4th place behind as well. Christoph Hold cuts to the inside, stops the likes of D'Agostino and Yanku getting through. Keegan Masters has had a good start as well. Daniele up 2 positions to 9th. Codera also up 5 to 10th.
That's what I was talking about. That's the adding weapon for Munchen, because with that start put the pressure on Lewinsky that could really make the mistake, and he was almost there with Limena after he overtook Munchen. Munchen answers back in a very good fashion, and Limena was there, and Lewinsky almost touched with Limena, and that could be a mess.
He did indeed, and it's not something we've really seen from Munchen so far this week. If anything, the starts from, he's always starts, and down the inside goes Lewinsky, big move, takes the lead. What an overtake into the S's, went for the move, fair play to Munchen, he left the space there for Lewinsky on the inside, and the Polish driver is back into the lead.
Grande manovra di Lewinsky, che si mette di nuovo al comando con un straordinario sorpasso alla S, architettato, orchestrato, preparato e compiuto nella migliore delle maniere. Adesso Munchen sembra in difficoltà anche su Limena, che lo tallona molto da vicino e potrebbe decidere di sorpassarlo in fretta per provare a stare al passo con Lewinsky.
Now the story of the race changes. It completely flips on its head now. It's no longer Lewinsky under pressure, because he's piling the work on top of Munchen and Limena now. It's up to them to pick up their pace, because we're now back into the story that we've seen so far in these heats, where Lewinsky has led these races from the front, pulled away, done what he needs to do, and been unbeaten through the manches so far this week. Just looking a little bit further back, who else is overtaking well? D'Agostino back up to 5th place. Iwasaki struggling a little bit, is down 3 positions to 7th. Josh Konka coming through the field as well, is up to 12th place, as well as Maxim Turiev, the Russian. So 12th and 13th places, they've just got past Roy Nassani for 14th place.
E adesso a guidare le operazioni c'è Lewinsky, che sta conducendo la gara davanti a Munchen, Limena, Christoph Hold in 4ª posizione, Mauro D'Agostino in 5ª, 6º posto per Alexandru Yanku, quindi Iwasaki, Masters, Foresto, Cordera, Bizzozero, e via via tutti gli altri. Scivolato fuori dalla top 10 Ryan Nissany, grande risalita di Conquer e Turiev, che sono risaliti di 8 posizioni ciascuno.
It almost feels like Mihai Munchin knows he's got no more in the tank. You can just see his start. He's not overly defending, but he is driving in a slightly defensive manner, making sure that Lemena is someone's running wide there. Was that Christoph Hold? I think it was. Christoph Hold in the blue 403 was wide through turn 5. I'm not sure whether he had any encouragement in all of that. Just want to give a shout out as well. It's down in 19th place at the moment, but Lorenzo Ripamonti, this is a great effort. This is a driver who was on his roof yesterday and missed a heat as a result, and has come back and not really had that much attrition in this race so far, and is also, as a result, working back up the order. Fair play.
Warning flag all'indirizzo di Mauro D'Agostino. Intanto per quanto riguarda il kart 404 di D'Agostino, che in questo momento è in quarta posizione.
Big laps just gone in from the leader. 46.911, the first driver to see something sub 47 seconds come up on their readouts. We're on lap 7. Lemena is quick through the second sector of the race, of the circuit I should say. Warning flag for Mauro D'Agostino, who's in 4th place at the moment. It's not under investigation. There'll be no penalty coming as a direct result of that. But does need to be careful out there.
2 terzi di gara al termine adesso, con Livinsky che scappa via. È stato velocissimo 2 giri fa, 46,911, il primo pilota a scendere sotto il muro dei 47, cosa che non gli riesce di un soffio in questa tornata. 47,052 il giro fatto registrare dal polacco al comando. Munchan e Limena che inseguono girano in 47,1 e 47,2 rispettivamente, che sono stati nell'ultima tornata i loro miglior giri. Stanno tutti incrementando la prestazione, però evidentemente Livinsky resta ancora con un notevole margine di vantaggio e probabilmente sta arrivando un buon giro, perché è arrivato il parziale record del secondo settore, parziale record del terzo settore, 46,857. New fastest lap from Livinsky.
Yeah, goes quicker again, 46,857. There is the 402 of Munchin, who is holding a good spot here. Lemena needs a bit more. A few laps ago was really challenging the Romanian, but Mihai Munchin pulling away now. Continual good progress from Kodera and Turiev. Kodera into the top 10 now. Turiev trying to follow him through.
Maxim Turiev did a very good race so far, up 10 position starting in the back of the grid. It was in 11th row and now is almost in top 10.
On to lap number 10 then. Approaching halfway. David Levinsky leads from Mihai Munchin. Mattia Sergio Lemena in 3rd place. Mauro D'Agostino in 4th. 5th place for Alexandru Iancu. You can see that top 5 clear now. The battle for 6th place is all up behind Ayoto Iwasaki. There in the 413 is Alessio Foresto, who's gained 2 positions from the start. Christoph Hold in there as well. We saw him having the moments early run in this race, but is still running, still circulating in 8th place. Pizzazero, Kadera, Turiev in that group as well. Into the second half of the race we go then. David Levinsky in control at the moment. Is he 10 laps away from going one better than 2020 and becoming the Shifter ROK champion here at the ROK Cup Superfinal?
Is he going to shift position? Last year Levinsky guida le operazioni, 1 secondo e 2 di vantaggio nei confronti di Munchan. Sembrava a un certo punto che Mihai Munchan fosse in difficoltà tanto da essere sorpassato da Limena, che invece non solo è rimasto sempre dietro, ma adesso sta perdendo un po' di contatto con il pilota romeno in seconda posizione. D'Agostino e Iancu non sono lontani, quindi deve stare attento a rallentare troppo, 1 secondo e 4 fra Mauro D'Agostino e Limena, poi Foresto, Hold, che in questa tornata hanno scavalcato Ayato Iwasaki, il pilota nipponico, in 8ª posizione, poi Gabriel Bizozzero, l'elvetico, in 9ª, e Maxim Turiev, il russo, è arrivato in top 10, scavalcando Davide Cordera e soprattutto Master Keegan, che è scivolato di un paio di posizioni più indietro.
The hold on 6th place for Iwasaki has broken, and look, in fact, oh, is that somebody off towards the back of the field? It may be Iwasaki. Contact there, and off into the realm goes the 409, and well, that is a real shame for Bizzozero. Was running well, but he's out of the race, and absolutely furious, and pointing to the drivers behind to say, "What were you thinking?"
Yeah, it was pretty. He was pretty furious about it. Of course, un po' arrabbiato Bizzozero, comprensibilmente. Con il contatto francamente non ho visto con chi è avvenuto il contatto, però finisce la gara dell'elvetico, che adesso si trova fuori pista, e ad ora non sembra che nessuno possa mettere un freno alla fuga di David Lewinsky. Seems like Lewinsky is like alone. It's like waving to his victory.
It's a beautiful place to be when you know, you're in control of a race.
Cordona under investigation.
Yeah, well, I think we know what's going to come there. That is going to be for the contact with Bizzozero, and that's probably going to be a 10-second penalty coming the way of Davide Cordera. So the order now: Lewinsky, Munchen, Limena, D'Agostino, Iancu. That top 5 has been fairly stable for the last 10 laps or so. Foresto was the first to get through past Iwasaki, so he's got 6th place at the moment. Christoph Hold got through before we saw that contact. That was all over 8th place, but Cordera holds it for now. Turiev, and then the 2 Canadians, Greco and Conker. Keegan Master still there in 12th.
Credo che Iwasaki abbia avuto qualche problema, but let's see once again. Here is Cordera, the touching with Gabriel Bizzozero, and Bizzozero was pretty furious about it, of course, out of the race.
And you would be, because
yeah,
it's been a testing week for Gabriel. Had a disqualification in one of his heats, but has shown great pace, and that's not how he would have wanted to finish his competition week. David Lewinsky, though, continues to just serenely pilot his way round this Lonato circuit. That is 15 laps of 20 completed, 5 to go.
And the best part of it is David Lewinsky is still improving.
Yeah.
Lap after lap, and is always far away from Munchen, and seems like he's in a comfort zone with his piece. So probably Lewinsky has even more pace in it, but is not using it, of course. 5 giri, anzi ormai 4 al termine, con Lewinsky che sembra avviato una vittoria ormai praticamente senza discussioni, sempre più lontano da Munchen, stando in una situazione di relativa tranquillità. Però Lewinsky evidentemente con margine sta tirando fuori un passo che è costantemente più veloce di quello del romeno, guadagnando 1, 2, 3 decimi al giro senza evidentemente forzare più di tanto, cosa che ovviamente gli permette di ampliare il proprio margine senza nessun problema. Munchen e Limena in seconda e terza posizione, ormai staccati da 7 decimi l'uno con l'altro. 1 secondo e 7 separa D'Agostino da Limena, che ha fianco a sé praticamente Alexandru Iancu. Foresto a 4 secondi. Christoph Hold, Cordera, Greco e Turiev. Abbiamo visto il ritiro di Gabriel Bizzozero, chiaramente non felice del contatto con Cordera, che abbiamo anche rivisto in occasione con il replay, però sicuramente non poteva che andare così, non è che si potesse essere felici. Grande risalita di Lorenzo Ripamonti, più 10 rispetto al fondo della griglia da cui partiva. Si trova attualmente al margine della top 15, e grande risalita, come detto, anche di Josh Conquer e Maxim Turiev, che sono risaliti rispettivamente di 11 e 9 posizioni.
That's Katiga. Katiga is out of the race, and I think
2 cars.
Costin Andrador is out as well, so the 2 Romanians have come together there, I think in sector number 1. 2.5 more laps then for David Lewinsky. He's just controlling this race now. Battle for 4th place going on between the 2 Italians, Mauro D'Agostino and Alexandru Iancu. Maxim Turiev will continue to make progress, up 11 positions in this race. He is now in the top 10. Lorenzo Ripamonti is not too far behind though in that count, 10 positions up to 15, which, as I say, is really good to see after his incidents yesterday. Mattia Sergio Lemena, who was here last year, this is a great improvement for him in 2021, on for a podium here. Penultimate lap of the race. Still D'Agostino ahead of Iancu, and I think they're still working together actually. They're not completely ruling out something happening to Munchen and Lemena on the last lap. We are about to go on to the last lap, and David Lewinsky, well, through the heats we saw him nail every single start and do what he's done for the last 15 laps, pretty much through each of those races. He's had to fight for this though, didn't get the start that he wanted, fell behind Munchen, had to fight off Lemena. He looked in a bit of trouble in the early stages of this race, but he wrestled control back. And Poland, who've had a few near misses in terms of getting victories today, you always felt though they were going to pick up one along the way, and this one will be particularly special for a driver who was second at Franciacorta 12 months ago, arguably was the deserving champion last year. It doesn't matter now, because in 2021 David Lewinsky wins the Shifter ROK title here at the ROK Cup Superfinal with a stupendous drive. Wins in the end by 2.9 seconds over Romania's Mihai Munchen. Mattia Sergio Lemena is on the podium, a well-deserved podium there in 3rd. Mauro D'Agostino 4th. Alexandru Iancu in 5th. Alessio Foresto 6th. Davide Codera in 7th. Davide Greco in 8th. Christoph Hold had a difficult final, finishes in 9th. Maxim Turiev in 10th. Josh Conker 11th. Keegan Masters in 12th. Alexandru Roca Herrera in 13th place. Lorenzo Ripamonti 14th. A tough race for Ayato Iwasaki in 15th. Roy Nissani 16th. Klimenko, Wojciech Pervalescu, Poles was your top 20. But how about that, Daniele, for David Lewinsky? He did look very much under pressure in the early stages of that race, and you just wondered, oh no, is this going to be one of those cases of someone who's done so well through the heats, you know, not quite have everything come together in the finals, but, you know, he stayed calm, used all of that experience, and wins in the end by a quite comfortable margin.
That's what a real mistress, a real champion does. I'm sorry with all the Polish around here because of my pronunciation of mistress. Anyway, David Lewinsky
You're doing better than me.
David Lewinsky won it, and as you said, won it with his brain, always focus on what he has to do, even with that start from Munchen that could mess it with all your thoughts about the race, and it was good for Lewinsky. Grande vittoria di Lewinsky che si prende il titolo della Shifter ROK restando concentrato, calmo sulla partenza di Munchen. Sembrava potesse essere una situazione dove la pressione gli potesse giocare brutti scherzi, invece il romeno è stato bravo, il polacco è stato bravo a mettersi all'inseguimento del romeno, a superarlo quando poteva senza esagerare e poi fare la sua gara, scappare via e non farsi più prendere. Grande podio in terza posizione per Mattia Lemena, che chiude così sul terzo gradino un weekend sempre in crescita.
Good to see. Congratulations coming in there from team members on Real Racing. I will be pleased with their second place with Mihai Munchen there. But yeah, David Lewinsky and Leclerc by Lennox Racing take the victory in Shifter ROK. And well, that means we've got one more race to go, and it is the Senior ROK Final. We'll be back with that shortly here for more racing at South Garda Karting in Anato. just before that, let's have a look at the highlights for Shifter ROK. There was the start. I actually thought it was a jump start for Michal Munchin at the first because it was so good, but there it was, and got away into the lead in the early stages. All went through the first sector relatively unscathed. In the early stages, Michal Munchin led well from the front of the field. And a really good question, what was Lewinsky going to need to do to... this was a key point as well, holding off Lemena around the outside. A robust defence, but a defence nonetheless. Christoph Hold was having a good race in the early stages in 4th place. This was the big move, and from our position here, we're sat looking at that across the driver's path. That was one of the best overtakes into there that we've seen so far this weekend, and it was a key one because Lewinsky then drove away from the competition. Munchin had some pressure to deal with as well, but similarly got things under control and solidified 2nd place. This was a big moment between Codera and Bizzarro, which Bizzarro was obviously not too pleased about. Codera is still under investigation for that incident. David Lewinsky, a brilliant drive from the Polish driver, goes one better than 2020, wins the 2021 Shifter ROK final here at the ROK Cup Superfinal, and yeah, was very pleased about it in the paddock afterwards. But as we say, one more race to go here at Lonato. Great crowd out ready for that race, and again, should be one of the really the best races that we've seen so far. It will be the Senior ROK final. That's next.